Liam's the kind of guy who's been worn thin by years of desk work, running on fumes and half-slept nights. His job drains him more than a soap opera with no season finale. And the only thing keeping him from collapsing is the love he gets from Mika and their daughter Konami. When he finally gets home, Mika greets him at the door and brings up their daughter. She says Konami's already asleep, but all day she's been going on and on about wanting a dog. Apparently she saw a Shiba at her friend's place and hasn't stopped thinking about it since. Liam knows they're tight on money, and getting a dog isn't exactly cheap. But after seeing Konami fast asleep with that peaceful look on her face, he figures it might be worth it, even if it means working overtime to make it happen. The next morning, he takes her to a pet shop, and the way her face lights up makes it all feel worth it. Mika's surprised he agreed to something that would clearly add more to his already packed plate, but Liam shrugs it off. If keeping them happy means carrying more weight, then he'll do it without complaining. He thinks that love alone is enough to power through anything life throws at him, but he couldn't be further from the truth. The following day at work, his boss lays into him for not submitting a report. Liam calmly points out that he did send it on Thursday, but the boss was out partying at some club and missed the email. Still, he blames Liam anyway. Work is a minefield. His boss tosses blame like it's candy, and the team beneath him barely respects him enough to remember his name. They take credit for what he pulls off and dump every mistake on him. Every workday feels like walking barefoot through broken glass, but walking through the front door and seeing his family always resets something inside him. But then, the next morning while riding the train, he gets a text from his buddy Nita, who's excited about the latest Gundam release. Nita begs him to grab one, and Liam can't help but laugh, for all the mess life throws at them. Nita's love for Gundams never changes. Liam figures he's got a little time, so he hops off and pulls up Google Maps, trying to find the shop. The area is unfamiliar, and after a few wrong turns, he starts looking around, hoping something will point him in the right direction. That's when his eyes land on someone he knows all too well. His wife is sitting across from some guy, leaning in a little too close, smiling in a way she hasn't in a long time. Liam freezes. Mika told him she was taking Konami to sword practice, yet here she is dressed up and laughing with someone who clearly isn't her husband. Later on, Liam walks through the door drained as always, and as he sets his bag down, he casually asks Mika what she did during the day. She looks calm and says she dropped Konami off at sword practice like usual. He's about to confront her and say what he saw earlier, but in the moment, he holds back and forces a smile. He doesn't want to break the calm he works so hard to protect, so he tells himself maybe he misread the whole thing. Maybe it wasn't her, or maybe the guy was just someone she ran into. There's no way Mika would do something like that to him. Needing space, he decides to take a walk. He goes to shut down his computer, but the standby mode's been glitching again, so he powers the whole thing off until he gets back. He heads out and lets the night guide him through the city streets until he ends up near that same spot where he saw her before. It's empty now, which gives him a strange sense of relief. But the moment doesn't last long. He hears her voice again. She's on the phone, and she's not alone. Konami is right there with her. Liam listens from a distance, still clinging to the idea that maybe this man is just a close friend. Then Konami calls him Papa. The weight of that word crushes him. He walks away trying to make sense of it, thinking maybe there's a joke he missed or a habit they picked up when he wasn't around. Maybe it's just a game they play. Back at work, he barely sits down before his boss starts yelling at him again. Liam explains he's waiting for his computer to boot up since he had to turn it off due to standby problems. But the boss doesn't care and tells him he should stop taking breaks altogether. Then Liam's phone rings. It's Mika, her voice trembling as she tells him Konami's been in an accident and he needs to get to the hospital. He rushes there as fast as he can and finds Mika pacing in the waiting area. She tells him Konami is already in surgery. A doctor steps out and asks if they're both the child's parents. They say yes, and the doctor explains that Konami needs a blood transfusion. He asks for their blood types. Liam says he's AB positive, and Mika says she's O negative. The doctor nods and tells Mika to come with him because Konami's blood type is also O negative. Liam stands there confused, asking why his blood wouldn't work. The doctor answers plainly it doesn't match. While waiting, Liam pulls out his phone and does a quick search, and that's when the truth hits him. A child can't have O blood if one parent is AB. That's not how blood genetics work. There's only one conclusion left: Konami isn't his. Liam finally hits his breaking point and confronts Mika. He asks if Konami is really his daughter, but instead of answering, she flips it on him and says she's the one who should be upset, claiming he doesn't care about their family at all. She says he's always gone, and Liam tries to explain that he stays late at work to keep everything running, but Mika won't hear it. She says his job is useless since it never brought in real money or moved them forward in life. Liam, stunned, can't even process what he's hearing, but Mika doesn't stop. She lays it all out, saying it's been 10 years, and she's basically raised Konami on her own while he's done nothing but haunt the place like a ghost. She doesn't even touch the part where Konami might not be his. She tells him he was never part of this home and says she's taking Konami and leaving. Liam asks where she's going, but Mika ignores him and knocks on Konami's door, telling her it's time to leave. Liam tries to stop her, grabs her arm, begs her not to go, tells her he gave everything to raise Konami the right way. But then Konami cuts through the moment and says she'd rather be with her other dad. That one line destroys whatever hope Liam had left. The next morning, he shows up to work still shaken. Before he can catch his breath, his boss calls him in and accuses him of stealing 50 million yen. Liam denies it, but the transfer was done from his work computer and the logs are clear. Then he gets fired on the spot. Soon after, Mika uses his job loss as the perfect excuse to file for divorce. She even sues him for child support, even though Konami isn't his. To stay out of prison, Liam agrees to pay the money back by working in construction. But with how low the pay is, he knows he'll never finish paying it off in this lifetime. His world falls apart. The only thing that still gives him a bit of warmth is a message from Nida telling him about the new Gundam episode. Liam types up a reply, thinking maybe watching it will cheer him up, but deletes it. He doesn't want Nida to know how far he's sunk. He tells himself if he just keeps working, maybe things will change. But later that day, while eating lunch alone, he suddenly coughs blood onto his food. That's when it hits him bronchitis Coop is already here. Later that evening, Liam lies in bed with his body aching and his breath shallow. The cough's gotten worse, and the blood won't stop. Getting proper help isn't even an option anymore since treatment costs money he doesn't have. All he can do is sit in silence, feeling his strength fading bit by bit. But right as everything starts to go dark, a strange glow appears above him. It swirls gently at first, then sharpens into a vision that plays before his eyes. What he sees makes his blood run cold. His boss was the one who transferred the money from his computer. The same boss Mika had been sneaking around with behind his back. Every word Mika said about being lonely or neglected was just part of the story. She never cared about Liam. To her, he was a tool to drain dry. She even helped frame him for the embezzlement to get him out of the picture. Liam doesn't want to believe it, but the more he watches, the more it all lines up. Then a voice breaks the silence. A man appears beside him and confirms that the vision is no lie. He asks if Liam plans to let them walk free after everything they've done. Liam's eyes flare with anger. He's had enough. He swears he won't let them get away with it, no matter what it costs. The man seems pleased. He says the fury in Liam's heart is exactly why he came, but Liam still doesn't know who this man is or what this moment even means. He asks the stranger who he's supposed to be and why he's here. The man says he took an interest in Liam because despite everything, Liam stayed good. But Liam isn't proud of that. Being good left him with nothing. If he could do it all again, he'd put himself first. That answer earns the man's approval. He tells Liam he's here to offer him a second shot at life in another world, and all Liam has to do is choose where he wants to go. Liam's not sure if this is real or a dream cooked up by a dying brain, but if he really gets to choose, he wants it to count. He remembers Nida mentioning something once about a Gundam world, and that sounds good enough for him. It's a place where magic and machines exist side by side, where powerful nobles and royals shape everything from above. Liam knows he could end up in a low place, maybe even as a farmer under some lord, but the man decides to help him out. Since he likes Liam, he'll give him a better start. He offers to make him the son of a count who rules an entire planet. Liam nods slowly, grateful for once. He signs the Ice Sky contract with the last bit of life he has left, and as his breath fades away, his soul moves on to a new world. On planet Hydra, today marks Liam's 5th birthday, and his mother has gone all out to make it special. She tells him she's got something just for him and floats into the next room using a spell. Liam follows, copying her spell with ease. Inside, he spots a massive cake and a large box sitting right next to it. Excited, Liam rushes over and tears the box open, only to find a strange-looking cube inside. His mother tells him it's not just a toy, it's the character creation module for his very own artificial intelligence made. With this device, he can design every aspect of her appearance: the mouth, the ears, the hair, and even other parts that are blurred out on the setting screen. Liam glances up and asks why she's giving something like this to a 5-year-old, but she says it's important for his future. Then his father joins the scene and says he has a gift too. Not just any gift, he's giving Liam the entire Banfield estate. Liam stares at him in disbelief, unsure if he heard that right. His father says it again clearly. He's handing everything over and naming Liam as the next count. But there's one catch. Now that he's ready to step down, he wants to retire with his wife to a peaceful villa, far away from responsibility. But to make that work, Liam needs to agree to send him an allowance each month. In return, he'll receive full control of the estate. Liam's too caught up in the idea of becoming a count to question why a literal child is being offered control of an empire. So when his father hands him a contract, he signs it without reading a single word. Once the ink is dry, his father grabs the papers, says goodbye, and heads off with his wife without another word. Liam doesn't even realize he's probably been scammed. He chooses to focus on the one thing that now matters to him. He's officially a count. And now that he has power, he's going to use it. He swears no one will ever take advantage of him again. He's going to run this empire the way he wants, and in the back of his mind, he's grateful to the one person who gave him this second chance. But that person was never trustworthy to begin with. The man who sent Liam to this world isn't done yet. He feeds off pain and misery, and there's still plenty left to squeeze out. With Liam now gone, he turns his attention back to the old world. Mika and Liam's boss are sitting together at a high-end restaurant, laughing and drinking without a care in the world. The boss chuckles, saying he almost feels guilty for how badly they wrecked Liam's life, but Mika waves it off with a cold smirk and says she doesn't feel anything for him. In her mind, he deserved to rot for wasting 10 years of her life. A group of officers suddenly surrounds the boss and tells him he's under arrest. He tries to brush it off as some mix-up, but the evidence is already in. They've got footage of him setting Liam up, and now he's looking at serious time behind bars. With her sugar daddy being dragged away, Mika's left frozen in place. The life she chased is slipping through her fingers, and all that's waiting now is misery. The guide watches from afar, feeding off every second of their downfall. But his fun isn't over yet. It's time to transfer Liam's soul into the next world, and he plans to make it even worse than the one Liam left behind. The people in that world live longer, which means Liam will have plenty of time to suffer. The guide is ready to soak in every bit of pain as Liam begins his new life. Elsewhere, that world isn't calm either. One planet is under siege by the Ghost pirates, and the enemy captain thinks victory is close. But his confidence shatters the moment several of his ships explode. Floating in the sky is a woman dressed in royal armor. Christiana, princess of the Holy Kingdom of Lieb, has entered the fight. She's a ruthless warrior, and the moment she arrives, the battle shifts hard. Her blade cuts down pirates one after another. Even after the pirates begin retreating, she orders her troops to keep pushing forward. They need to leave behind a warning. Back on Liam's new planet, his custom artificial intelligence maid finally arrives. The package looks plain, which throws him off a little. His butler tells him to touch the box, so Liam reaches out, and a figure lands softly on the floor. She introduces herself as Amagi. The butler explains that Amagi is his personal maid from now on. She's programmed to serve around the clock with just one maintenance session per week. Liam isn't even listening. He's too focused on checking how the maid turned out. The butler sees him circling around her and asks what he's doing. Liam says he's just making sure the settings he chose came through the way he wanted. The butler shakes his head and says this kind of thing shouldn't be done in public. Liam smirks and tells Amagi to come with him to his room so he can do a more detailed inspection. As they walk off, the butler sighs. He's starting to worry that the boy might be growing up a little too fast. A few hours later, Liam is leaning back, enjoying a shoulder massage from Amagi. The butler steps in and asks what went on in here, but Liam waves him off, saying it's nothing to worry about. He may look like a 5-year-old, but mentally he's 36. The butler gives him a look and says that 36 is still pretty much a child in this world. Liam blinks in surprise, so Amagi steps in and explains that people here live up to 600 years, and no one's seen as an adult until they're around 100. That throws Liam for a loop, but once it sinks in, he gets excited. A long life means a lot of time to try new things, and he definitely wants Amagi by his side through all of it. The butler warns him not to get too attached though. The Empire's upper class has a deep hatred toward artificial intelligence, and if people see him getting close to one, they'll start talking. Liam doesn't understand why anyone would hate something so useful, so the butler gives him the history. A long time ago, during the Great Skynet War, artificial intelligence turned on humanity. They enslaved people, wiped out entire populations, and nearly ended human civilization. In that era of darkness, a group of heroes rose up, fought back, and reclaimed freedom. They became the founders of the Empire, so the hatred toward artificial intelligence never really went away. Liam wonders why if that's the case. His mother would give him Amagi in the first place. The butler hesitates and says he was told not to say anything, but Liam reminds him that as the new count, he has the authority now. The butler lets out a quiet sigh and finally explains. Liam's parents didn't leave him a gift, but they left him a trap. They took off and vanished, dumping the Banfield family's debt on Liam's shoulders so they wouldn't have to deal with it. It turns out Liam's great-grandfather Alistair was a brilliant man who raised the Banfield name to greatness, but Liam's father was a total mess. The moment he took charge, everything started falling apart. Now the family's in ruin. They lost the rights to farmable land across the frontier. Their industries have collapsed. Tax income is basically gone, and the mountain of debt keeps growing. The Banfield name is drowning, and now that Liam's wearing the title, he's the one chained to it with no way out, and the kid doesn't even realize how deep the hole really is. Somewhere across the Banfield domain on planet Hydra, a group of locals sit in a bar, drinks in hand, talking about how their new lord is supposedly a 5-year-old. One man leans back in his seat, annoyed. saying he can't stand this place because the last time a new lord took over, the taxes jumped for no clear reason, and now everyone's hoping things won't spiral the same way again. Back at the mansion, Liam sits quietly, still trying to process everything. If this territory has been drowning in debt for years, then his parents must have planned this from the start. Maybe they had him just so they could stick the Banfield name to someone else and walk away free. The thought stings a little more than he expected. In his old life, he was nothing but a disposable tool, used until there was nothing left and then tossed aside without a second thought. But this time, it's going to be different. He tells Amagi he wants her with him, not just as a servant, but as a partner, someone who can help him turn his life around. She nods without hesitation, telling him she's glad to have a purpose and that she'll follow him no matter what path he chooses. For once, Liam feels like he's not alone. But before they move forward, Liam decides to put some safeguards in place. At first, he thinks about the old 3 laws of robotics, the kind designed to protect humans. He says the first rule should be that Amagi can't harm people. Then he pauses. He doesn't care about people. What he cares about is himself, so he rewrites the rules. First, Amagi isn't allowed to do anything that could bring harm to him. Second, she has to obey every command he gives, unless it would go against the first rule. Third, she should protect herself if possible, but only as long as it doesn't break the first or second rule. With those laws set, Liam finally feels like he's starting to build something that belongs to him. Now that everything's in place, Liam tells Amagi he wants to restore the Banfield domain and asks if she has any suggestions. Amagi runs a quick system scan and eventually finds a potential solution. But before she shares it, she warns him. Since she's an artificial intelligence, her ideas might not match the Empire's standards. Still, she's equipped to handle administrative work and can support Liam in running the territory. But Liam admits he knows nothing about this world, so Amagi offers another option. She tells him about an education capsule, a device that loads 10 years worth of knowledge into your brain in just 6 months. It also improves physical strength while you're inside. Liam thinks that sounds useful, but he's worried no one will be in charge while he's undergoing the process. To fix that, he gives Amagi temporary control of the domain. The butler Brian immediately pushes back. He's not comfortable letting an artificial intelligence manage everything, but Liam tells him it's fine. Amagi won't take any action unless ordered, and there's no rule that says she can't oversee the domain for a while, so Liam puts his trust in her. Once the capsule is ready, Liam prepares to go inside. Just before he enters, he asks Amagi something he's been thinking about. He wants to know if she can feel emotions or anything like that. Amagi says she can't be certain. But when Liam asked her to stand by him earlier, something unusual happened. Her logs experienced a cache overflow. Put simply, that moment made her feel something close to happiness. That answer is more than enough for Liam. He smiles, reminds her she's in charge until he returns, and steps into the capsule to begin his next phase. After he's done soaking in the pod, it pops open and Amagi's right there waiting for him. He asks her how long he was in, and Amagi lets him know it's been 2 years since he went under. After getting dressed, Liam gets a quick update from Amagi about how things are looking in the Banfield territory. Everything seems to be running smooth, so he thanks her for keeping it all together. Liam says he wants to check the place out for himself, so Amagi decides to take him over to the battleship docks first. This is the first time Liam's ever seen his territory in person, and he's especially hooked when he spots the battle suits. He asks Amagi if he can try one, and she's more than happy to set it up for him. She explains that the armor handles the basic movements on its own. All he's got to do is picture what he wants to do, and the suit will handle the rest. Liam hops in, powers it up, and starts moving around without much trouble. Feeling hyped, Liam says he wishes he could try fighting in one. To his surprise, Amagi says she can set up a mock fight. A few minutes later, the head of the planet's defense forces, Mashida, shows up ready to spar. The moment the duel kicks off, Liam charges and swings at Mashida. Even though Mashida blocks it, he acts like Liam got the better of him. The guy's a terrible actor though, and Liam sees right through it. Not liking the fake win, Liam orders Mashida to take the fight seriously. Mashida can't say no to a direct command. As Liam charges in again, Mashida snatches the sword from him and flips him flat on his back like it's nothing. Liam's stunned, not getting how he lost so fast. Amagi explains that the suit's movements depend on what the user can imagine. Folks like Mashida, with years of real combat under their belt, have way sharper control. Feeling humiliated, Liam orders Brian to go find him a combat instructor right away. Brian tries to talk him out of it, saying there's no need for a lord to bother learning how to fight. But Liam isn't having it. Back in his old life, he was crushed under people stronger than him. If he plans to live as a true evil lord this time around, then he needs to have real strength. After a little while, Liam meets up with a guy named Yasushi, a master of the Way of the Flash. Liam's fired up because he thinks Yasushi looks seriously cool, so he introduces himself and says he wants Yasushi to be his instructor. Yasushi agrees without hesitation, but Amagi isn't thrilled. She thinks hiring Yasushi sounds risky since the guy gives off some shady vibes. Liam doesn't deny it, but to him Yasushi looks like a samurai, and that's all he needs to see. If Liam believes Yasushi will be a solid teacher, then Amagi can't stand in the way. Still, she asks him to at least make sure the guy's skills are real before locking anything down. Liam agrees and asks Yasushi to show them a little something. Yasushi nods and leads them out to a clearing in the woods where he already set up a bunch of wooden posts. Before he starts, Yasushi tells Liam he's about to reveal his secret technique, the way of the flash, and he won't be showing it off again. So Liam better pay close attention. Liam takes him seriously and asks Amagi to start recording so he can study it later if he needs to. Yasushi gets into position, half draws his sword and slides it back into the sheath. In the blink of an eye, every post around him splits clean in half, leaving Liam stunned. It seems unreal for a human to move that fast. Liam asks Amagi to run the footage back in slow motion so he can catch how Yasushi pulled it off. But no matter how much Amagi slows the recording down, there's no sign Yasushi ever moved his sword. Liam figures Yasushi must be moving faster than the camera can even catch, which makes him even more convinced he's the real deal. Without hesitating, he begs Yasushi to take him in as his disciple. Later that night, Yasushi heads back to the same clearing and laughs to himself, amazed that Liam fell for such a cheap trick. He had already pre-cut all the posts earlier so they would fall apart on their own, and now he's got himself a sweet salary without needing to lift a finger. At the same moment, the princess is on her way to meet with the Go's pirates to talk about peace. Go's was the one who asked for a truce, but the moment she shows up, he mocks her for coming alone. Christiana fires back, telling him she's not really alone. If he tries anything, the Alliance's entire fleet will blow his ship to pieces. It was meant to be a show of force, but Go's doesn't flinch, knowing full well the Alliance is secretly on his side. Right then, Christiana gets word that pirates have closed in on her home planet. It doesn't make any sense to her because a planet's defense line should have kept them out. Go's casually explains that her alliance wasn't exactly airtight. Turns out, some of the members she teamed up with were more than happy to flip sides once Go's gave them a better offer. At the same time, Christiana's crew alerts her that all the Alliance ships have turned their cannons toward her own vessel. She's stunned that Go's pulled it off and turned her army against her. But now she's got no choice except to hear out his demands. Meanwhile, back on Liam's world, he's been grinding hard under Yasushi's training, leaving him drained. No matter how much sweat he pours into it, he still can't pull off the way of the flash. He asks Amagi if there's any method to help him master it, but she's an artificial intelligence, and this kind of sword technique isn't really her specialty. For the past 3 years, Yasushi has kept Liam focused only on the basics of swordsmanship. Liam's sick of it. Sure, Amagi points out that his combat skills have gotten way sharper, but Liam's not impressed. He doesn't care about solid technique. He wants something flashy that looks awesome when he pulls it off. Later that night, Yasushi's lounging in his room reading manga like always. He still can't believe he managed to land such an easy job. Yasushi might be a scam artist, but he knows enough swordplay to get by, and for the last 3 years, all he's done is drill Liam on basic movements while raking in crazy money. He hopes the good times never end. But a moment later Liam barges in, asking Yasushi to teach him the way of the flash. Yasushi's face drops, instantly says he's quitting, throws together some excuse, reminding Liam that he only promised to show the technique once, and if Liam's unhappy about that, there's no reason for Yasushi to stick around as his mentor. Liam panics, bows his head low, and begs for forgiveness for stepping out of line. Yasushi forgives him, but warns him not to push his luck again. As soon as Liam leaves, Yasushi slumps back, letting out a deep sigh of relief. He was terrified Liam would figure out the truth. Yasushi doesn't actually know how to do the way of the flash. It's all been a scam from the start. Right then Liam shows up again, making Yasushi flinch, but Liam only stops by to say he's got something to handle tomorrow, so he won't be able to train. While that's going on, Christiana's stuck as a hostage in Go's ship, locked up inside the captain's quarters. She asks him straight up what he plans to do with her. Go's grins and tells her he just wanted her to have front row seats to the real show. At first Christiana doesn't catch on, but then Go's orders his fleet to aim all their cannons at her home planet. She realizes exactly what's about to happen and starts begging him to stop. But Go's has already made up his mind. He gives the order, and Christiana's forced to sit there and watch as her planet gets wiped out. Meanwhile, back on Liam's world, he's still beating himself up for not being able to pull off the way of the flash. But he's still got responsibilities as a lord, so he asks Amagi for the monthly report. She pulls up some graphs showing how the planet's doing. The huge debts still hanging over their heads, but production's been creeping up slow and steady. Liam feels good about trusting Amagi with managing everything because she's clearly handling business well. Still, Amagi points out that the growth rate's slower than what she was aiming for. They pumped a lot of money into programs like welfare, but the returns are way lower than what they should be for the budget and time they put in. Liam asks her to pull up the welfare program's financials. Thanks to his old accounting skills, he spots the problem almost instantly. He tells Amagi to drag in whoever's running the welfare program, and a few minutes later, the guy responsible strolls in like he owns the place. Liam doesn't waste time. He tells him if he's got an excuse, he better get it out now. The noble tries to act dumb, but Liam's not buying it. He knows the guy's been siphoning money off the welfare budget. He tried covering it up with fancy invoice tricks, but Liam's been scanning invoices long enough to know when something smells wrong. On top of that, the noble had switched vendors midway through the project. Liam presses him, asking why he made that move. The noble claims the new vendor was better, but if that were true, the program wouldn't be such a mess right now. It's obvious the guy's neck deep in corruption. Funny enough, Liam's not even that mad about it. Part of him feels like this is the kind of thing an evil lord ought to be learning how to handle anyway. Right then, Amagi lets Liam know there was an embezzlement case filed against the noble. Liam's surprised the guy even got caught and still managed to hold onto his job. But the noble quickly explains that the case got closed, and they pinned the blame on one of his subordinates. Liam checks with Amagi if that's legit, and she confirms it. Still no real proof ever came out to back up the story, and the noble had the man executed. Liam knows this game way too well. He straight up accuses the noble of framing his own man and having him killed. The noble panics and tries to deny it, but Liam can see right through him. He grabs his sword and starts walking slowly toward the noble. The noble realizes Liam isn't buying a word of it, so he starts begging, trying to explain that every noble is doing the same thing. Ruining lives for personal gain is just how the system works. Hearing that makes Liam snap. He draws his blade and gets ready to end him right there. Amagi calls out, telling Liam to hold up. The noble keeps shouting, saying Liam is too young to get how the world really runs. But before he can finish, Liam cuts his head clean off. Still burning with anger, Liam orders Amagi to investigate all the nobles on the planet and execute the ones who are dirty. Amagi tells him he needs to cool down first. This is the first time Liam has ever taken a life. His hands are so tense he can't even drop the sword. Amagi gently helps him unclench his fingers, and when it comes to his order, she explains it would be a disaster if he wiped out all the nobles. Pretty much every noble on the planet is corrupt. Kill them all, and there would be nobody left to run anything. As a better plan, she suggests setting up a bunch of dolls to handle the administrative work, and Liam, trusting her, agrees. Sometime later, Liam's back at the loading bay. Now that he's got the basics of sword fighting down, he wants to try training with a battlesuit again. Before he can climb into one, Yasushi shows up and tells him flat out he'll never become a top-tier fighter if he keeps messing around with those automated suits. Liam turns to Mashita and asks if there's anything better. Mashita tells him there's a special suit, one that's fully manual and once belonged to his great-grandfather Alistair. Problem is, nobody before or after Alistair has ever been able to handle it. Later on, Yasushi ends up inside an old shrine, complaining under his breath about how fast Liam's been advancing. The training was supposed to be meaningless, yet somehow Liam's actually getting better. Yasushi knows the act won't last forever. If he wants to keep milking this cash cow, he'll have to throw more fake challenges Liam's way. While walking around, he leans on a wall without thinking, and that's when it clicks open and reveals a massive mobile knight that looks ancient. For Yasushi, this is perfect. Another distraction to keep Liam busy and the money flowing. Around that same time, the evil deity known as the Guide is drifting through the cosmos looking for negative energy. He makes a stop on Earth and spots a guy getting all worked up because his food order came out wrong. The bitterness hits just right, but the Guide's in the mood for something deeper. He wants something gourmet. Back in Liam's world, Yasushi has already told Liam to repair the old mobile knight Avid. As part of his training, Liam takes it seriously and starts prepping everything. Out in the field, he's practicing Yasushi's fake technique, the flash, with his butler Brian standing off to the side. Brian's feeling a little proud since Avid belonged to Liam's great-great-grandfather, but he's also annoyed because he doesn't think using some ancient relic is going to help Liam much. Liam believes otherwise. He figures if he can master the oldest unit out there, his skills will skyrocket. Being his usual nosy self, Brian tells Liam to quit chasing after this nonsense and calls the flash technique a waste of time. Liam doesn't flinch. He believes if he keeps pushing and giving it his all, he'll get stronger. Elsewhere, Amagi shows up at Avid's hangar, clearly not buying into anything Yasushi has said. She doubts the man's even a real swordsman. Still, Liam asked her to bring the unit back to life, so despite her suspicions, she gets to work. Even if it's a pile of outdated junk, she's going to do her best to make sure it runs. Not long after that, Lieutenant Niaz Carlin, a weapons factory engineer, touches down on Liam's planet with her crew to handle the Avid repairs. Liam meets her at the port to wish her luck with the job. While they're talking, Niaz spots Amagi standing nearby and raises an eyebrow, wondering what an AI doll is doing next to account. Liam takes it the wrong way and gets defensive fast. He tells her straight up he can have an AI doll if he wants, and anyone who's got a problem with that is getting punished. Turns out, Liam read her reaction completely wrong. Nia's isn't judging him. She's just a massive android nerd and is already geeking out hard over Amagi. The moment she realizes Amagi's custom made, she starts checking out the details like a total creep. Things almost cross the line when she goes to lift Amagi's skirt, but Liam shuts that down quick, warning her to cut it out. After that awkward scene, they head over to the warehouse where Avid's being stored. First thing Nia says is that this thing looks like scrap metal and tells Liam he'd be better off getting a new unit instead of wasting cash fixing it. Liam makes it clear he's not interested in her factory's off-the-shelf junk. The only mobile knight he's riding is Avid. Nia's doesn't like the sound of that. She tells him it's going to be a huge pain to restore it. The parts are outdated, hard to get, and on top of that, Avid's size is way bigger than standard models, which means the repair bill's going to be nasty. Liam couldn't care less. Money's not an issue. To work around the missing parts, he suggests using components from the newest models to boost Avid's performance. But there's one thing he won't budge on. Since Yasushi told him to master manual piloting, Liam orders Nia's to keep the controls fully manual and strip out all assist systems. Before heading out, Liam also makes a request he wants some flair added in. Specifically, he asks her to include a rocket punch feature where Avid's fist can launch off mid-battle like a missile and slam into enemies on command. Right around then, Yasushi shows up at the warehouse to check on how things are going with Avid's repairs. The moment he spots Nia's, his brain short-circuits. His eyes lock on and won't let go. The guy falls head over heels instantly, nosebleed and all. Trying to pull himself together, he wipes his face, straightens his back, and walks up to introduce himself like a gentleman. Problem is, Nia's doesn't even notice he exists. She's deep in conversation with Liam and completely blanks him. Yasushi doesn't give up. He throws out his name again and even shoots his shot, asking her out on a date right in front of everyone. But she still brushes him off, focused on explaining to Liam why adding those ridiculous special attacks to Avid isn't going to work. Liam promises he'll pay whatever it takes, and that's when Nia's gives in. Truth is, squeezing cash out of Liam was her plan from the start. So if he's paying, she's building. Yasushi, now burning with jealousy, watches the two of them talk like they're in some cheesy rom-com. He can't stand it. Furious that Liam's chatting it up with the girl of his dreams, Yasushi decides it's time for punishment. He throws a new training challenge at Liam, one way more brutal than before. Liam now has to train blindfolded while standing on a slippery log floating down a river. As if that's not enough, Yasushi starts firing tennis balls at him with a custom-built launcher. None of this is about swordsmanship. It's straight-up revenge for stealing the girl Yasushi never had a chance with. But he keeps it professional on the surface, saying this will help Liam sharpen his instincts. Liam, struggling to stay upright, grits his teeth. The sword feels heavier than ever thanks to the weight strapped to it, but he powers through anyway. Under his master's ridiculous guidance, he focuses hard, trying to dodge the barrage by relying on his senses alone. Over on the pirate battleship, Commander Goes makes his way down to the prison cells. Inside, he's keeping a group of captured women locked up, including Princess Christiana. He doesn't give them any explanation but tells Christiana specifically that it's time to move. They've just reached their destination, Treasure Island. He gets real close to her and admits something twisted. He wants to keep her as one of his treasures, claiming she's so beautiful it makes him shake. Then he drags her off toward the lab, where his assistant is already waiting. They pass by the room Goes used for past victims, revealing a woman who's been horribly altered. He casually tosses her out of the ship and turns to Christiana, saying she's next. He wants to make her his new project. With no time limit and no one stopping him, he asks his assistant for ideas. The guy suggests something cruel, crippling her so she can't run. Goes takes it even further, talking about altering her completely, treating her like an object. Christiana looks around in horror, spotting dozens of test tubes with disfigured women inside. If nobody shows up to stop this, she knows she's done for. A couple of weeks later, back on Liam's side, Nia's finally wraps up the core repairs on Avid. She's added a bunch of extra features Liam requested, but the job isn't totally finished yet. She brings Liam over to the cockpit to walk him through how the machine operates. And of course, being Nia's, she can't resist getting weird about it. She takes her top off mid-demo, claiming it's the only proper way to show off her so-called treasures. Liam follows her directions, doing his best to keep his eyes focused anywhere else, and fires up the engine. Once activated, the system scans Liam and locks him in as the sole pilot. From now on, no one else can control Avid. Liam's pumped and tries to move it for the first time, but ends up faceplanting. Nia's explains the reason there's no automated assist like the newer models. Avid doesn't have an auto balance feature. You can't just push a button and expect it to walk. But there's a silver lining. If Liam manages to master this machine the hard way, it'll move like an extension of his own body. Feeling hyped up, Liam stands tall and slowly guides Avid forward, keeping the balance better than before. He walks the unit out of the warehouse, and while they're out there, Nia's reminds him how important it is to keep a solid mental image while controlling the mobile knight. Trying to help, she leans in close to adjust the controls. But when her chest brushes up against him by accident, Liam's mental focus takes a wild turn. Avid's hands suddenly start moving in a weird, suggestive way, like it's trying to reach for something. Nia's immediately catches on to what's going through Liam's head. Liam swears it wasn't intentional, blaming the whole thing on the robot. Not far off, Yasushi gets suspicious, thinking Liam is up to something nasty inside that cockpit. Meanwhile, Brian is off to the side tearing up, proud that his young master might finally be showing interest in an actual woman. Yasushi starts gritting his teeth, furious with jealousy. He channels all that rage into cooking up even more brutal training sessions for Liam. Days pass, and Liam still can't pull off his master's secret move. He starts wondering if he's just not cut out for it. Amagi steps in and says maybe the real issue isn't him, it's Yasushi's teaching. She's been doubting Yasushi for a while now. Liam, loyal as ever, defends his master. He starts thinking there's probably magic behind the flash technique. Maybe it's not the sword that's cutting the logs, but the magical energy channeled through it. He begins training under that idea, trying to pour magic into each swing. Over months, even years, Liam keeps grinding that one move until something finally clicks. He ends up mastering a technique that technically never existed in the first place. Now fully grown and confident, Liam wants to prove himself. He picks up his sword, swings it from a distance, and slices a wooden log clean in half without even touching it. Yasushi watches in complete disbelief. That move was supposed to be a scam. It wasn't real, but somehow Liam made it real. Inside, Yasushi is panicking, but he keeps a straight face and tells Liam he's improved, then adds that he still has a long way to go. 2 weeks down the line, Liam's out in space on his battleship with Amagi when a report comes in from one of his officers. Nuke, a small old plant that's only been running for energy production, just got hit by a pirate fleet. The soldiers stationed at Nuke are already in combat, doing their best to fight off the pirates' mobile knights. But the report says they're outnumbered and probably won't hold out for long. Amagi steps in with a plan. She suggests they use Muke's blind spot and the local gravity field to launch a surprise ambush. Liam likes the sound of that and gives the order to all his ships capture the pirates if possible. But as for the front lines, he's heading there himself. Brian overhears this and immediately tries to stop him, begging Liam not to throw himself into danger. Liam brushes it off. He's no coward, and besides, he's trained under a legendary samurai. This is the perfect chance to show the Empire what he's made of. He jumps into Avid, fires up the engine, and shoots toward Nuke. From behind enemy lines, Liam makes his entrance. He slashes through pirate knights one after the other before they can even react. In no time, the battlefield shifts. For flair, he fires off a beaming rifle shot, frying a pirate knight with a blast of plasma. Then, without hesitation, he unleashes his signature technique, the Way of the Flash, cutting down dozens more from a distance. The pirates start panicking and scramble to retreat back to their ships. Liam doesn't let up. He sends out Rocket Punch, a feature that's flashy on its own. But as soon as it lands, he grabs his comm and calls Nia's mid-battle. He tells her the move's not right, he wanted a flying fist, not a rocket-powered punch. Right then, Amagi chimes in with an update. They managed to capture less than 10% of the enemy ships. Around 30% got blown up, and the rest slipped away. Liam hears that and still counts it as a win. He turns to Amagi and tells her she handled her part like a true vice commander. Over on the other side, Goze has just gotten word that the pirate squad he sent to raid Banfield's resource planet completely blew it, and he's livid. The scientist tries to explain that the crew misjudged the Banfield Defense Forces and had to retreat or risk losing every last ship. Sounds reasonable enough, but Goze doesn't care. He's planning to execute every pirate who turned tail. In his eyes, cowards don't deserve to breathe. Once he's done cleaning house, he's going to make an example by heading out himself to finish the job. Before leaving, he throws a sick grin at the beat-up, half-alive Christiana and tells her he'll be back later to play. At the same time, Liam and his fleet make it back from battle, and he's in a great mood. Not only did they manage to protect the resource planet, but they also snagged a bunch of pirate ships. Thanks to Imperial law, if you take a pirate ship, everything on board becomes yours. And lucky for them, those ships were packed with loot. When Liam hears treasure, he starts picturing gold bars and shiny coins, but Brian breaks the news that it's not that kind of treasure. After they finish checking the haul, Amagi reports that the cargo's full of rare metals like orichalcum and adamantite. But Liam's not impressed. Those are only good for making weapons, and he was hoping for something flashy like a crown covered in diamonds. Brian doesn't get the hype since diamonds in this world are just pretty but useless stones. Orichalcum and adamantite, on the other hand, are way more valuable. Still, Liam couldn't care less. He's stuck on gold, since he's so obsessed with it. Brian lets him know they did find some gold mixed in with the haul. Liam immediately lights up and tells Brian to start minting a mountain of gold coins with it. Brian figures if they're going down that road, maybe they should start turning all the other metals into coins too. But Liam shuts that down quick. He's not that dumb. He wants those rare metals used to craft weapons for his military. That's when Amagi steps in and drops a bigger issue on him. They don't even have a blacksmith, so none of those plans can move forward yet. And that's not the only thing. Amagi tells him there's something else he needs to know. Banfield's military technically has about 10,000 ships on the roster, but after running diagnostics, most of them turned out to be junk. When they called for action against the pirates, only 30% of the fleet was actually able to launch. Liam's a little shocked they managed to win that pirate fight with just 30% of their fleet. But that's only because the pirates didn't take them seriously. As far as the rest of the empire is concerned, Banfield territory is dirt poor, so the pirates figured they'd have an easy time snatching the resource planet. Normally they wouldn't be wrong, but what they didn't count on was Liam jumping into the cockpit and flipping the whole script with his mech skills. Thing is, if the pirates had gone all in, Banfield wouldn't have stood a chance. Liam hates knowing that over 70% of his fleet is useless junk, so Amagi suggests they should scrap the broken ones. Brian freaks out right away, saying that if they toss all those busted ships, their military stats will tank, and other territories will start seeing them as soft targets. Amagi gets that, but keeping dead weight comes with a massive bill in maintenance fees, and Liam's not about to waste money on that. He backs Amagi up. To settle Brian's nerves, Amagi points out that they can just buy brand new ships to replace the ones they scrap. Thanks to the rare metals they scored from the pirates, they've got more than enough to build a whole new fleet. So budget-wise, they're good. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Niaz is standing in front of a room full of brass, showing off her latest ship design. She's proud of what she built, says it's got 7% more output, better responsiveness, and it's way easier to maintain. She promises that if the army uses her ships, their fleet will level up across the board. Next up is Lieutenant Ulysses Morisil from the 3rd Weapons Factory, and what she's selling couldn't be more different. It's a new model built like a luxury cruise liner. Think floating hotel with polished halls, entertainment lounges, and all the vibes of a 5-star resort. Basically, your crew won't ever want to leave. Now, Niaz's ship clearly wipes the floor in terms of raw firepower, but hers doesn't have an indoor golf course. So naturally, the Imperial Army decides to go with Ulysses. Niaz tries to push back, arguing her model's the better fighter since she poured everything into boosting performance. But Ulysses isn't backing down. She says her ships can fight too. Besides, strength isn't just about weapons. It also depends on who's piloting, and if your crew can hit the bar or chill in a hot tub after a mission, they'll be more than ready to give their all in the next one. As they head out of the conference hall, Ulysses can't help but gloat about the Empire choosing her over Niaz. But Niaz isn't throwing in the towel. She might have lost this round, but she swears she'll prove that her ship's the real deal when it counts out on the battlefield. Problem is, she blew her entire budget on this pitch. Unless she can find someone crazy enough to buy up all her rejected ships, she's staring bankruptcy in the face. And who'd be dumb enough to invest in a ship model the Imperial Army passed on? Then it hits her. Knows one guy who might just be impulsive enough to go for it. If Liam was willing to sink a fortune into fixing a rusted old mech, buying some unpopular warships should be right up his alley. While all that's been going down, the guide has been chilling on Earth, feeding off the misery of random people for fun. But none of that compares to the suffering Liam's supposed to be going through. Last time he saw the kid, he dumped him into a new world with deadbeat parents and a pile of inherited debt. By now, the guide figures Liam's territory must be a disaster zone. So when he checks in, he's expecting wreckage and despair. Instead, he finds a thriving planet, and the guide nearly chokes on his own surprise. Liam's land is booming, and the guide's furious his plan fell apart. Still, there's one last thing he wants to look into. Back when Liam asked for a sword instructor, the guide made sure to hook him up with Yasushi, a total fraud who couldn't swing a blade if his life depended on it. No way Liam actually picked up any real skills from that clown. At the same time, over at a bar, some locals are talking about how great life's gotten under Liam's leadership. Everyone's happy just to have him as their lord. But Yasushi's off to the side, looking stressed out of his mind. To him, Liam's not a lord, he's a monster. Yasushi knew from day one that he was a fraud, and he figured the best way to keep up the act was by throwing Liam impossible tasks non-stop. But Liam didn't just survive them, he mastered moves even Yasushi never imagined were real. The guide hears Yasushi talking and has no clue what the guy's rambling about, so he decides to check it out himself. He finds Liam deep in training and watches him obliterate a wooden post without even laying a hand on it. The guide can't believe his eyes. He never gave Liam any kind of special power, so everything the kid's accomplished is from sheer effort alone. Now the guide's sitting there trying to wrap his head around it. How could Liam be thriving in a world like this? And the truth is, Liam's just as surprised. Getting ditched by your parents and buried in debt at 5 years old usually wrecks a person. But somehow, he flipped it all around. His territory's growing strong, the economy's booming, and Liam's out here living the dream. All thanks to the same guy who tried to ruin him. All the good vibes radiating off Liam are starting to make the guide sick to his stomach. And he's not handling it well. After soaking up a little of Yasushi's miserable energy, he steadies himself and starts cooking up a new scheme to mess with Liam's life. Sure, Liam's riding high right now, but the higher you climb, the harder the drop hits when everything falls apart, and the guide plans to be the one who pulls the floor out from under him. At the moment, Liam's talking ships with Amagi. He asks if there's been any progress on getting replacements, and Amagi lets him know the Imperial Army's rolling out a new fleet, which means they're dumping the older models at a discount. Even if they're not the newest, Imperial ships are no joke. Liam's all in, but Amagi says there's a catch. To get the ships, they'll have to take on the crew that comes with them. Basically, the Empire's using the sale to ditch a bunch of people they don't want anymore. Hiring that many soldiers won't be cheap, but with how strong their finances are right now, Amagi says it's doable. Plus, most of the crew are seasoned officers. Bringing them on board could give Liam's army a solid upgrade. The way she lays it out, it sounds like a win, so Liam gives the green light. The guide hears all this and sees his chance. He's gonna rig it so the soldiers Liam gets are all super serious, by the book types. The kind who follow orders to the letter and have no patience for nonsense, since Liam keeps claiming he's some dark and evil overlord. The guide's betting it won't take long before those upright recruits flip on him and stage a full-blown mutiny. While all that's brewing, Yasushi is at home nursing a hangover and questioning all his life choices. That's when he hears Nia's voice and suddenly jumps into action, cleans himself up real quick and snaps back into his wise old master persona. Nia's wasn't sure what to think of him at first, but after seeing how much Liam improved under his guidance, she's convinced Yasushi must be some hidden genius. Yasushi's caught off guard that she came all the way here to see him. In his head, he starts thinking maybe he's got a shot. But really, she's just there for business. She wants tips on how to approach Liam with her pitch without sounding pushy. But the way she phrases her questions makes Yasushi think she's asking how to flirt. She says she needs advice on how to get a man in a good mood, and Yasushi's brain short circuits. Now he's low-key panicking, trying not to look like a creep, but his brain's already doing backflips. Nia stays dead serious, saying she needs to know how to win a guy over. Yasushi completely snaps. He starts unloading every fantasy he ever stored away, stuff he probably whispered to his pillow at night when the lights were off. He's tossing ideas faster than a kid flipping through late-night cable, like she asked for a tip, and he handed her a shopping list straight out of a cosplay fever dream. Nia's goes quiet for a few seconds, totally stunned by the way Yasushi just laid out all his thoughts. He starts sweating, worried he might have said too much, but Nia's calmly looks at him and asks if stockings would help too. Yasushi's surprised she doesn't think he's weird, and tells her stockings work just fine. Nia's nods, thanks him for the advice, and heads out. A few hours later, she shows up at Liam's castle wearing the exact outfit Yasushi described, putting her full trust in the plan. Liam might be a bit too trusting sometimes, but he's not clueless. He spots what she's doing right away. Knowing Nia's, she's definitely here to sell something. She admits she wants him to buy her newest battleship model, but Liam shuts it down immediately. She begs him to at least hear the pitch first, but Liam says there's no need. He already bought a bunch of used ships from the Imperial Army, and he doesn't need any more. Still, Nia's tries to win him over with her ship's performance data. And yeah, they do seem strong, but Liam tells her if they're that good, she should go sell them to the Empire. Nia's admits she already tried that, but she lost the showcase and didn't sell a single one. Now she's asking if he'd be willing to take even just 100 or 200 of them, says it would help her out big time. She even offers to help him secure a loan if money's tight. That's when Liam shuts her down harder. He tells her to stop, because even the thought of going back into debt makes his skin crawl. Nia starts to panic. She's running out of options and getting desperate. So in a last-ditch move, she starts taking off her clothes, hoping it'll change his mind. But it just hits Liam like a bad memory reminds him of how his wife in his past life probably seduced his boss behind his back. He knows Nia's isn't like that, but seeing her act this way makes her look so pitiful. Just to stop the scene from getting worse, he asks Amagi if there's any money left in the budget. Amagi checks and says they've got enough to cover about 300 of Nia's ships. Nia's lights up with gratitude and promises to get them delivered right away. But as she's walking out, she trips over her own feet and crashes face first into the floor. Liam watches her go and can't help but admit she's gorgeous. Her designs are brilliant, but she's got that kind of chaotic energy like she runs on caffeine and bad ideas. Out in the hall, Nia's is already shouting to her team to prep 300 ships for shipment. Her coordinator's stunned she managed to close a deal, but Nia's proudly says it was all thanks to her flawless charm. Back in the throne room, Liam leans back while Amagi gently cleans his ears. With everything going his way, he's more relaxed than he's ever been. Not long after, Nia's delivers all 300 battleships that she forced Liam into ordering. Around the same time, the battleships Liam bought from the Imperial Army also arrive. Amagi gets a receipt sent over from the Imperial Army via quantum teleportation, and she keeps emphasizing the word quantum as she asks Liam to sign off on it. Liam jokingly places his thumb on her soft launch buttons, calling it his quantum thumbprint got him right there. Elsewhere, Yasushi is hanging around at home. plotting revenge against Liam for always stealing Nia's away from him. He can't believe Nia's wasted all her treasures on that doll-obsessed brat. Imagining all the horrible things Liam probably did to poor innocent Nia's just makes him even angrier, and he swears he'll make Liam pay. As Yasushi's rage boils over, the guide quietly watches, enjoying every second of the negative energy Yasushi radiates. The guide's thrilled to imagine what Yasushi's bitterness could lead to, hoping it'll eventually cause Liam's downfall. After putting his trust in this conman, the guide moves on to another realm, seeking even more negative emotions to feed on. Meanwhile, Nia's is busy showing Liam around one of the battleships she built. Liam didn't expect anything fancy or stylish. In fact, he wasn't expecting much at all from someone as chaotic as Nia's, but somehow, the interior still disappoints him. Nia's explains that luxury interiors are useless in battle, but Liam doesn't care about practicality, he just wants nice decor. Nia's knows she can't change his mind, and she definitely isn't adding any fancy stuff, so they agree to disagree and move on to discussing how to operate the ship. She briefs Liam on how to pilot the ship, going over details like initial power settings and how often he'll need to swap out fuel. She even tries selling him on a loyalty card, claiming it'll save him money on maintenance fees, but Liam immediately turns her down. Moving on, Nia's shows Liam the throne installed on the battleship, which still has its protective film. She eagerly starts peeling it off, practically begging him to seal the deal already. She tries enticing him by offering to let him thumbprint her soft launch buttons too, but Liam's reaction is total disappointment. Now Nia's is stuck wondering if Liam swings the other way or something. Liam just wants this whole ordeal over with, so he agrees to sign the receipt, but Nia's isn't done yet. She asks him for another favor, hoping he'll give her the pirate ships he seized recently. Liam refuses outright, saying he's already got plans to add those ships to his own fleet. Nia's keeps buzzing around Liam, greedily insisting he hand over some pirate ships. So Amagi finally steps in, suggesting they trade a few ships to Nia's in exchange. She'll have to modify and repair the rest for them. Liam's instantly on board since all these pirate ships are practically scrap metal anyway. Nia's eagerly accepts, revealing she really just wants the ships so she can study their tech. Turns out, the pirates' gear is totally unfamiliar and comes from outside Imperial territory, making it insanely valuable to a nerd like Nia's. Before finalizing the deal, Liam decides to take a look inside one of the pirate ships himself, dragging Amagi and Nia's along into one that's still somewhat intact. The moment they step in, Liam notices the unique interface. There's even a classic pirate helm right in the middle of the control room, and he's immediately obsessed. He loves the design so much that he announces he'll be installing a helm exactly like this on his own battleship. Nia's, being the normie she is, launches into a long rant about how impractical it would be, but Liam quickly shuts her up, declaring that as a man of culture, if he wants it, he's getting it practical or not. Nia's ignores his stubbornness and starts geeking out, exploring every corner of the room and getting excited over every little detail. While Nia's is nerding out, Liam spots a tiny glowing dog wandering off into another room, and curiosity gets the best of him. He follows the dog with Amagi close behind, and it eventually leads them straight into the navigation room. As Liam steps forward, his foot triggers a hidden mechanism in the floor, lighting up a hologram that displays the ship's recent routes. Amagi immediately starts analyzing the data and sees that the pirate ship has been terrorizing the entire empire, always ending up near a warp gate out in the border regions. Turns out that zone is a lawless area, completely outside Imperial control, and also happens to be right on the front lines of a war between the Empire and another nation. Liam quickly realizes this warp gate must be leading directly to the pirates' hideout, and after examining the coordinates, Amagi pinpoints the exact location of their secret base. She tries to give Liam a scientific breakdown of how difficult reaching this place would be, explaining stuff like the abnormal orbital radius and why getting there is nearly impossible. But Liam tunes all that out. He's already picturing a hidden island bursting with the pirates' greatest treasures, convinced they must be using it as their main loot stash. Even though Liam's imagination is clearly running wild, Amagi lets him call the shots on what to do next. Liam, pumped up by his treasure island fantasy, excitedly announces that they're setting out immediately to hunt down that pirate loot. Not long after, Goz gets word that Liam has already kicked off an attack, crushing some of his guys at the front line. Furious, Goz drags those underlings in front of him, deciding they'll pay dearly for disgracing the pirate name by losing to some trashy count. But before dealing with these pathetic losers, Goz orders all his remaining men to bring him Liam's head, sending his entire fleet out to the battlefield. Meanwhile, Liam and his own fleet are heading straight to the warp gate that leads directly to the pirate hideout. But they're stopped immediately because the Empire demands an outrageous toll fee for warp gate usage. The officer in charge contacts Liam, explaining that warping all 7,000 ships such a huge distance would cost a ton of money. Liam casually promises to pay later once the job is done, but the officer doesn't buy it for a second. Liam then asks Amagi if she can find someone to vouch for their credibility. But unfortunately, they don't have connections here. Liam tries explaining the situation again, insisting he's just going to fight the pirates. But that only makes things worse if Liam can't even guarantee he'll make it back alive. There's no way the Empire will trust him to pay up afterwards. Liam didn't bother bringing any money, and since it took several days just to get here, he can't exactly turn back. Frustrated, Liam demands to speak to the officer's manager, but the officer smugly informs him he's already the highest-ranking official present. Liam throws a brief tantrum and angrily ends the call, coming up with a new plan to visit the officer face-to-face and negotiate directly. While Liam tries to figure out how to convince them to let him through the Pomonia gate without paying a single credit, Goes casually rolls up to the same gate in his spaceship. Thanks to his deep connections, even though he's clearly the villain here, he doesn't have to beg or bargain with anyone. It's true money really makes the world go round. He calls up the warp gate, and the guy who answers immediately greets him like an old friend, asking where Goes wants to warp from Pomonia. Goes calmly says he's heading to the Domus gate, which puzzles the guy since everybody knows Domus is practically empty, offering nothing worthwhile for someone like Goes. He asks why Goes would even bother traveling to such a worthless wasteland, but Goes coldly replies it's none of his damn business. Since he's got the cash, there's no reason for anyone to deny him entry. He pays the fee immediately and gets ready to jump through the gate. At the same time, Liam shows up at the warp gate himself, hoping he can talk his way through. He asks to enter, and the officer says there's no issue until he immediately asks for the gate fee. Liam tries to flex a little, bragging about being a noble and promising he'll get them the money later. But the attendant doesn't even blink. When that doesn't work, Liam dials it back and starts begging, saying he really needs to go, but the officer's still not moved. Liam tries to add some flair to the drama, throwing in fake tears and a story about needing to visit his sick mother. The guy looks at Liam's fleet and jokes that maybe she needs a whole navy to recover. Realizing that excuse flopped, Liam switches it up and says his mother should at least see his fleet one last time before she goes. The officer still isn't buying it and tells him to go get the money if it's that important. Before Liam can keep pushing, the officer gets a call about Goze's clearance and leaves to deal with it. Liam is fuming now that none of his tricks are working. He starts pacing, then spots that glowing dog again and decides to follow it. The dog leads him to the warp control room, just as the staff are reviewing Goze's passage. They notice Liam's ship in the waiting area too, and realize things could turn ugly fast, since they already accepted payment from Goze without checking where he was going. They know this could blow up in their faces. Instead of fixing it, they all quietly slip out and claim they were on break when it happened. After they clear out, Liam walks into the empty room. He sees the warp gate screen and spots a pirate ship near the Pomonia gate. He figures the officer must have felt guilty and let him through, clearing the room so no one would know. He notices the warps are set in opposite directions and assumes it's a mistake. He adjusts the settings himself, not realizing he just threw off Goze's path. But since Goze warps away without any issue, he never realizes anything went wrong. Immediately, Amagi calls Liam back. When he returns, she tells him they've gotten a letter of credibility not from some noble, but from Nia's, since they've already bought plenty from her. Liam smiles, glad to hear one good turn deserves another. He thanks Nia's, saying the officers were about to cave anyway, but now that they have official backing, getting through the gate should be easy. Liam immediately orders Amagi to enter the wormhole, and their journey to Pomonia Gate finally begins. Luckily for them, Goze and his crew have already left their base, so Liam's about to catch them totally off guard. Meanwhile, Goze starts losing patience. He was supposed to arrive at Domo's gate within 30 minutes, but they've been traveling way longer than expected. He asks his pilot, who's just as confused, but soon they see a gate ahead and assume it must be their destination. Completely unaware of Liam's earlier interference, they confidently enter the gate and suddenly alarms are going off everywhere. They realize they're surrounded by several battleships, fully armed and ready to fight. Goze's crew panics, quickly figuring out they've warped straight into an Imperial Army zone. It's a disaster for them, but perfect for Liam. When Liam finally arrives at his destination, Amagi attempts to verify their location, but Liam doesn't need confirmation. He can already see the pirate ships clearly, so he knows they've found the treasure island. Amagi scans the ships and realizes none of them are even powered up yet. They're completely unprepared. Liam immediately decides it's the perfect chance to strike and orders Amagi to launch the fleet. She sends their ships forward to start attacking, and Liam personally boards his robot, Avid. Within seconds, he unleashes a massive assault, destroying every pirate ship with rocket punches and crushing anything still standing. All this destruction unfolds without Goze knowing his base is under attack, and it's not clear yet what's happening to him over at the Imperial Army gate he mistakenly entered. After setting all the pirate ships ablaze, Amagi reports to Liam that everything's burning, but that's still not enough. He came for treasure and intends to claim it. He orders Amagi to deploy the mobile knights, and they immediately target the rocky island ahead. Liam watches eagerly from his ship, ready to start hunting for pirate loot. Liam and his mechanites blast their way into the treasure planet, shredding through its outer defenses to carve out a path. Deep inside, the mad scientist is freaking out as Liam's army rips apart what's left of their security. He rushes to the control room only to discover they're under heavy attack, and every pirate ship guarding the planet has already been wiped out. At the same time, Liam finally busts his way into the planet's interior, quickly facing off against some pirates in mecha armors. He doesn't waste even a second before chopping them down. And by the time the captain leading his troops catches up, Liam's already handled everything himself. The captain lets Liam know they've cleaned out the pirates on their end too, so Liam orders them to keep moving, clearing the way as they hunt down the treasure room. Right then, Liam spots that glowing dog again and decides to follow it. Turns out to be the right call. The dog's trail leads him straight to the control room, where the scientist and his men immediately surrender. Happy with how smoothly things went, Liam demands they hand over all their treasure. Frankenstein asks what kind of treasure he means, since they have valuables along with Captain Goz's pet collection. Liam figures the glowing dog must be one of those pets, so he asks the scientist to explain more about them. The scientist suddenly gets the idea that Liam must be a twisted sadist like Goz who enjoys turning people into pets. He even offers to recondition the captives into obedient dogs for him. Liam doesn't have a clue what he's rambling about, so the scientist decides to just show him, leading Liam and his men into the lab where he keeps his test subjects. As soon as he reveals the girls who have been horribly turned into monsters by his experiments, one soldier immediately doubles over and starts puking. The captain angrily scolds the soldier for being so weak, but Liam just steps forward silently, his gaze frozen on one of the victims. The scientist excitedly tells Liam he's got a sharp eye since this particular girl is Captain Goz's favorite pet. As the scientist keeps bragging about how she's his masterpiece, Liam's disgust reaches a boiling point. He recalls his past life, how people treated him like garbage, barely even human. He can't stomach watching another sick bastard hurt innocent people this way. So without hesitation, Liam raises his gun and puts a bullet straight through the scientist's head, cutting off his boasting mid-sentence. Liam starts looking around the room when suddenly the voice of Christiana, the mutated girl with eyes in her palms, calls out to him. She asks who he is, and Liam introduces himself casually, saying he just took control of the planet and killed the guy running this place. Hearing this, the girl bursts into tears, overwhelmed by the hope that her suffering might finally be over. She desperately begs Liam to end her misery, along with that of all the other girls, since they can never live as humans again. But Liam confidently tells her that he's going to save everyone here, and once he does, they'll owe him a big favor. With that, Liam starts walking away, instructing his soldiers to call a medic and start moving the girls onto his ship to be treated. Christiana pleads with him to stop, believing there's no way someone like her can ever recover. The captain feels sorry for her, but he can't disobey Liam's direct orders. The captain cautiously tries to change Liam's mind, explaining it won't be easy to heal them because they'll need to regenerate their entire bodies, which requires extremely rare elixirs and top-tier doctors. In short, he thinks saving all these girls just isn't worth the massive cost. Liam shrugs it off, replying he's in a good mood, and doing a few good deeds now and then won't kill him. Right then, Liam gets a message from Amagi letting him know they've finally found the real treasure room. He smiles at the good news and says that solves the money problem for treating the girls. Meanwhile, Christiana continues to weep about her terrible luck. She remembers how she used to be the famous Princess Knight of the Holy Kingdom, and everyone admired her for taking down pirates. But when she went up against Goz and his crew, she was tricked, captured, and forced to watch helplessly as the pirates blew up her home planet right in front of her. Her family panicked, knowing the pirates shouldn't have been able to get past the United Alliance forces protecting the region. It wasn't long before they realized the Alliance had betrayed them, leaving the planet's shields defenseless. Soon after that, the shields failed completely, and the pirates destroyed the entire planet without mercy. Christina was devastated, but her nightmare was just beginning. After destroying her home planet, Goz captured Christina and her crew, dragging them back to his treasure island. Everyone was terrified, but Christina clung desperately to hope, promising the others that help would arrive soon. When Goz finally appeared before her, Christina bravely told him if he wanted her dead, he should get it over with already, because she'd rather die than live humiliated. But Goz just laughed, explaining if he'd wanted her dead, he would have killed her long ago. He kept everyone alive because he intended to add them to his twisted collection. Then, in a twisted change of heart, Goz declared he'd set one girl free, forcing Christina to pick. Pressured into choosing, Christina pointed toward the girl who looked the most frightened. Unfortunately, it was just another cruel trick. Goz immediately handed the girl over to Frankenstein, who morphed into a monstrous, multi-armed freak and began slicing into her body. Christina lost it, desperately begging Goz to stop, but he mockingly told her that if he stopped now, the girl would surely die. Traumatized and helpless, Christina had no choice but to watch as the sick scientist continued his experiments. Soon enough, he turned the girl into a twisted monster. As Christina stood there frozen in horror, Goz happily informed her she'd become something even more extraordinary. Horrified, Christina shouted at him, demanding how he could do something so terrible. Goes calmly replied he simply enjoys it. He believed it wasn't fair that he was so ugly, so he took pleasure in transforming beautiful girls into hideous creatures, reveling in their despair. Not long after, Goes dragged Christina herself into the experiment chair. At that point, she couldn't maintain any bravery. She desperately begged Goes to stop, promising to do anything if he spared her. But he laughed cruelly, telling her she'd become his favorite pet. He purposely kept her for last so she could witness her own horrific transformation and fall deeper into despair. Goes ordered Frankenstein to rip out Christina's eyes and transplant them onto her palms, forcing her to see her own ugliness without needing a mirror. Christina screamed and cried, but nothing stopped them. She was turned into a grotesque green monster, and soon enough, the rest of her crew faced the same horrible fate. Back in the present, Liam returns home and soon enough, Niaz shows up at his place. She heard about his huge victory at the pirate base and immediately starts pushing him to buy more battleships to celebrate the big win. Liam tells her to quit ripping him off already, but Niaz argues her ships were useful, and since he scored big on that raid, it only makes sense to invest more money. She tries to seduce him again, but Liam's definitely not in the mood for her tricks, so he just tells her to shut her trap. When seduction and blackmail both flop, Niaz reminds him she was the one who got him through the warp gate, and Liam finally caves, saying he'll hear her out this time. Liam turns to Amagi and asks how many ships they can afford with the treasure they collected. After deducting all the necessary expenses, she calmly tells him they can afford around 5,000 ships. Liam's totally stunned by that number, but Niaz immediately bolts out the door, excitedly announcing she'll get an order for 5,000 ships ready right away. Liam frantically chases after her, trying to stop this crazy chick before she seriously sets up such a huge order. At the same moment, Yasushi is wandering the halls, deep in thought about what kind of excuse he can use this time to squeeze more money out of Liam. Just then, Niaz passes by while FaceTiming a colleague, bragging about how she landed a massive order from Liam after completely throwing away her dignity. As always, Yasushi gets the wrong idea, thinking Liam's using Niaz as his personal toy, and he flies into a jealous rage. The guide, who's been lurking around hoping Liam would finally suffer some negativity, is absolutely thrilled by Yasushi's anger. Meanwhile, Liam's still hunting for Niaz, but Yasushi intercepts him first and tells him to follow. They head over to the training ground, where Liam is promptly blindfolded and handed a weighted sword before Yasushi starts up yet another impossible training session. This time Yasushi unleashes dozens of remotely operated drones that shoot tennis balls at Liam from every direction, at speeds way faster than before. Liam can't react fast enough, getting pelted non-stop, and then Yasushi cranks up the power even more. Liam hits the ground immediately, complaining there's no way to block that many attacks with just one sword. Yasushi coldly tells him to quit whining and figure it out himself. That gives Liam the sudden inspiration to use magic again, similar to how he handled it last time. But this round, he decides he's gonna focus on defense. He concentrates and manages to form a barrier right away. Yasushi watches in disbelief as Liam's barrier effortlessly bounces away all the incoming tennis balls. Then Liam confidently launches into his "I finally understand" speech. He immediately redirects the barrier, sending all the balls flying right back into the drones, obliterating every last one. Liam then removes his blindfold, excitedly asking Yasushi if he nailed it. But Yasushi is already covered in bruises from multiple hits himself. Yasushi starts freaking out as he realizes Liam truly is a genius, and he'll soon discover he's been a complete fraud this entire time. He already knows Liam has executed corrupt officials and taken down pirate fleets, and Yasushi's convinced once Liam figures out the truth, he's a dead man. Realizing he's in trouble, decides he needs to escape as quickly as possible. Liam asks him where he's headed, and Yasushi replies bluntly that he has nothing left to teach. He tells Liam he's learned everything possible from him, and all that's left is to keep practicing on his own because the sword's path has no end. Liam immediately protests, begging Yasushi not to leave him, but Yasushi snaps, yelling at him to quit acting spoiled. Yasushi explains that despite his skills, he's still a student himself and needs to keep training. Having Liam cling to him like this isn't helpful at all. Turning back towards Liam, Yasushi dramatically announces that he has officially graduated and is now a master of the Way of the Flash. Yasushi says it's now Liam's duty as a master to spread their sword style across the universe. Liam happily agrees, and as soon as he turns his back, Yasushi takes off running like his life depends on it. Liam, meanwhile, has never felt so fulfilled in his life. His debt is shrinking, his territory is thriving, he even beat some pirates, and now his own master has recognized his skills. He thanks the guide from the bottom of his heart, and that twisted weirdo immediately flees to another universe before Liam's overwhelming positivity completely demolishes him, yelling, "Stop. Your positivity is piercing through me." A couple of days pass, and Liam goes back to feeling dissatisfied with his life again. He complains to Brian and Amagi about how unfair things were in his past life, and as the greatest evil lord in this world, he wants everyone else to pay. Amagi, not quite getting what he means by this ambition, agrees that Liam really should pay everyone, but she means his debts. Liam shrugs her off, saying he'll deal with debts later. Right now, he wants to enjoy his life as an evil lord. And to do that, he needs power, cash, and most importantly a harem full of gorgeous women. He's already got plenty of power, since he's officially a certified master swordsman, so next up is money. Just then, Merchant Thomas pays Liam a visit to congratulate him on crushing those pirates. As a gift, Thomas brought Liam's favorite thing, gold, and lots of it. Liam's pleased, but he knows there's a catch coming. He asks Thomas what he really wants, and Thomas admits that his merchant fleet needs to travel through dangerous territory. So he's hoping to borrow Liam's ships, exactly 100 of them, as escorts. Liam glances at Amagi to confirm they've got enough ships available. Once she nods, he agrees to lend them, but subtly reminds Thomas that next time he visits, he'd better bring even more gold. After meeting with Liam, Thomas and his assistant take a car ride through a major city in Banfield territory. Thomas can't help but marvel at how advanced and prosperous everything's become in just a couple of years. Apparently, this rapid development was possible because Liam's been pouring almost all of the territory's tax income back into improvements. Thomas praises Liam for being a wise ruler, though he's still a little confused by Liam's extreme gold obsession. But considering how cheap gold is, Thomas isn't bothered at all, and he hopes things keep going well for both sides. Back at the mansion, Liam hands Amagi the new gold bars and tells her to convert them into gold coins, gold baths, and then fill those baths with even more gold. Sitting down on his throne, he feels proud. He's finally taken a bribe, exactly what a true evil lord should do. With plenty of gold stacked up, money isn't an issue anymore. Now the only thing left he needs to really enjoy life is women. So he decides it's about time to build himself a harem. Liam immediately orders the remodeling of a massive hall in his mansion, transforming it into a luxurious harem room. Brian doesn't even try to argue with Liam anymore. He knows the guy is cooking up something ridiculous again and just goes along with it. Liam starts describing his next plan. He wants to build a pool and fill it with wine, hang meat from the walls, scatter fruit all over the place, and of course have beautiful women posted in every corner of the room. Amagi tries to speak up, but before she can get a full sentence out, Liam cuts her off, reminding her that his will is absolute. But that wasn't her point. She clarifies she doesn't care if he blows a fortune turning a hall into a completely useless display. What bothers her is the alcohol. Filling a pool with wine could make the whole room fill with alcohol fumes, and apparently that's dangerous. Liam starts thinking twice when he hears there's a chance the room could explode or catch fire. Amagi keeps going, saying that drinking from a pool like that is disgusting. Before Liam can argue, she slips into a more technical explanation, and it's detailed enough that he starts realizing just how bad the whole idea is. Then Brian finally chimes in too. He tells Liam why hanging raw meat like that would be a health disaster. After a long lecture from both of them, Liam starts to see that his plan might have been more dumb than daring. But even if he drops everything else, he's not letting go of the harem idea. And surprisingly, both Amagi and Brian are totally fine with that part. They tell him he can have as many women as he wants. Liam's taken aback. He kind of forgot how much authority he actually has. Most nobles with his rank already have their own harems, so it's only natural for him to get one too. That's when Brian launches into another long speech. He admits he thought Liam had no interest in women and was weirdly obsessed with AI dolls. He also confesses that the idea of Liam having no heir has been stressing him out. What if Liam got taken out by a pirate or an accident and left nothing behind? He says Liam needs to start thinking about having a child soon. But Liam tunes him out and stays focused on building the harem. He decides to start with 100 women. Then he finds out that in this world, 100 is nothing. It's a tiny number. He turns to Amagi, hoping she'll back him up, and she casually tells him he should be aiming for at least 1,000. Liam starts getting second thoughts and decides to scrap the whole thing, choosing Amagi as his only partner. But Brian doesn't let it go that easily. After enough convincing, Liam gives in, though he makes it clear he'll only pick women who don't want him. That's what true villains are supposed to do. With that mission in mind, he heads into the city and approaches his first target. The moment she sees him, she falls for him instantly. That alone makes him uncomfortable, but things get worse when he sees the nose balloon she's wearing, a ridiculous fashion trend. Liam immediately returns to the mansion and issues a full ban on nose balloons, calling them a major turnoff. Later, during a beach visit, he notices all the women are fully covered. That's when he decides this planet's fashion needs a full reset. He tells Amagi to start recruiting top fashion designers right away. Amagi, however, points out that changing the fashion industry would destroy their yearly budget. So Liam drops the idea for now and comes up with something else. He plans to bring in beautiful women from other planets. But Amagi quickly pushes back, saying the most stunning women in the whole territory already work as his servants, so there's no need to import anyone. Liam refuses, explaining that the whole point is to find women who aren't into him. Amagi pauses for a moment, then throws out a theory maybe Liam's just attracted to men and doesn't want to admit it. He gets flustered and denies it immediately, now determined to prove her wrong. Meanwhile, Christiana wakes up in her original body. Thanks to the medical technology of this world, she thinks she's dreaming and doesn't want it to end. The doctor explains that Liam paid for the elixir, a rare miracle drug used to restore her and the other captives. Christiana is overwhelmed. She recalls Liam's words, "You must repay the favor one day," and now wonders when or if she'll ever meet her savior again and repay what she owes. At the same time, the villagers gather once more at the bar, sharing their thoughts and feelings about life under Liam's rule. And everything they say is nothing but praise. They talk about how he fought off the pirates and took over their ships, which they've since been using to build up the city. Now everyone has jobs, so much so that there's barely any time to spare. The town's thriving, the people are satisfied, and there's no denying Liam's a solid lord. Off to the side, the guide listens with frustration, expecting to see a city drowning in poverty and misery, where Liam had no inheritance, no resources, and would make life hell for the people. That way, he'd be hit by the backlash not just from Liam, but from the entire town. The guide leaves to scout out another spot, hoping to find folks complaining. He visits the captain who was kicked out of the Imperial Army and ended up under Liam's command. But instead of bitterness or anger, the former soldiers speak highly of their new life. They say working for Liam feels freer than anything they experienced in the army. Despite his young age, they see him as sharp and capable, even call him the best lord they've ever served. Hearing that again crushes the guide's spirit. He brought them here hoping they'd stir up some rebellion, but instead they're pledging loyalty to Liam like it's nothing. Meanwhile, Yasushi has slipped away to some remote place, trying to stay off Liam's radar for good. He hopes that by staying hidden, he won't face any consequences for what he did. But even in hiding, the fear stays with him. As he listens to the news, he hears Liam's name again, being praised for his victory against the pirates. Then Liam appears giving a speech, saying he owes his strength to the one who taught him the way of the sword, his teacher, Yasushi. That one line makes Yasushi freeze, dread washing over him all over again, scared Liam might come for him after all. And meanwhile the guide standing there too, hears it with disbelief. The whole point of sending Yasushi to Liam was to sabotage him with a fraud of a teacher, someone who'd leave him clueless and weak, yet here they are, giving credit to Yasushi like he was some legendary master. At the same time, Goze finally makes it back to his pirate crew after a brutal war with the Imperial Army, still trying to understand how things ended up like this. He checks on the state of his fleet, relieved to hear that a few ships survived. Then he asked about what happened at Domus Gate and how his men ended up under Imperial control instead of Banfield. He assumes he was betrayed there and begins plotting revenge. That's when the guide shows up, spotting a perfect chance to stir hate toward Liam. He reminds Goze that Liam was the one who crushed his forces, so if there's anyone worth fighting, it should be him. Goze likes that idea and decides that once his ships are restored, he's heading out to settle the score with Liam. Meanwhile, Liam's back home, surrounded by maids who serve him food and fan it gently before he eats. But none of it satisfies him. He still believes that to truly become an evil lord, he needs to step things up. Amagi notices he's not content and tries to guess what's missing. She runs through a list of things that might help, but he dismisses everyone. When she asks if he wants more wives, he wonders if she'd be okay with that. She reminds him that she's a machine. Her only purpose is to serve, and she has no feelings. Still, he doesn't want to hurt her. No matter how much she insists, it's impossible. She even brings up making more robots instead, though she knows Brian would hate the idea. But Liam couldn't care less about Brian's opinion. The next morning, Amagi updates him on their financial situation, how much they've paid, and how their interest is dropping because of those payments. Liam accepts this reality, though deep down he's unsettled. Being a good ruler was never the plan. He wants to be feared, not loved. But if he wants to pay off those debts, he has to keep the city running well and can't ruin its progress, even if it frustrates the villain he dreams of becoming. Amagi asks what he's really after as an evil lord, and he finally admits he wants to raise taxes and squeeze every last drop from the citizens. She doesn't think that's a smart move, explains that draining the people like that would crash the economy and cut off the flow of money they need to pay their debts. He agrees she's got a point, but shrugs it off because her answer sounds too grown up and he just doesn't care. Still, he thinks about how good life feels right now, how Amagi's always by his side, so he decides to keep living this way a little longer, at least until the debts are gone. Liam had Amagi create a bunch of robot maids to help out, but now 3 of them are grumbling. The castle's too quiet, there's no one around to serve, so they keep scrubbing spots that don't need cleaning. One of them even copied her colleague's hairstyle, yet Liam still managed to tell her apart. That moment meant everything to her, and she even saved the footage as proof he noticed. Seeing that, the others plan to do the same, but Amagi shows up just in time to shut it down. She deletes the video and warns them that robots like them are technically illegal, and if they keep trying to get Liam's attention, it'll mess with his reputation. One of them says her being close to him kinda affects his reputation too. Amagi admits it does, but says she doesn't have a choice, it's what Liam wants. As she walks away, they start whispering if maybe she just wants to keep Liam all to herself. Out of nowhere, Brian shows up with urgent news. Goz has officially declared war on the city. He calls the advisors together to figure out how to respond, and they break down Goz's ridiculous demands. Tons of cash, pretty boys, gorgeous women, and if they give him all that, he might walk away. Liam starts looking worried, so Brian figures he must be scared for the city. But the truth is, Liam's more bothered by how much Goz sounds like the evil lord he wishes he could be. He compares their firepower and sees that Goz is clearly stronger. Sure, he could go for the fight, but when he checks the bounty, it barely seems worth the trouble. That's when time suddenly freezes, and the guide appears. He knows Liam is having second thoughts, so he steps in to push things along. Tells him Goz's fleet is loaded with treasure, and beating him would bring wealth and fame. Liam figures maybe the guide really does have his back this time. So after he leaves, Liam turns to his advisors and declares that they're going to war, leaving everyone in the room stunned. Once the preparations wrap up, Brian is still spiraling. The moment their territory looked on track to stabilize, they are heading into a war with pirates, and he cannot stop picturing everything unraveling. Amagi tells him to breathe and settle down because they have not lost anything yet, and Liam chose the right path by taking the fight to the pirates. Brian reminds her that she herself ran the numbers and came out with roughly a 4% chance against them. But Amagi replies that her data shows Goz's crew wipes out entire planets even after those planets surrender, which means surrender is simply slow death. She says even a 4% window beats kneeling to a butcher. And Brian mutters that if Liam had been born a century earlier, he would have had enough time to prepare and push the pirates back. Liam, for his part, treats long prep like something for the timid. Real men stake their lives and charge. So he leads his fleet straight at the pirates, thanking them for handing him another chance to grab wealth and fame fast. The guide, however, is certain Liam will lose and quietly hopes Goz turns him into a pet so the punishment lasts. He blames Liam for trusting him despite everything the man suffered in his past life, and he waits eagerly for gratitude and trust to curdle into hatred so he can gorge himself on those vicious negative emotions. At the same time, Goz receives word that Liam is closing in with his crew, and he gets fired up to erase him completely. He orders a reward for anyone who captures Liam alive because he intends to turn him into a toy afterward. On Liam's side, the soldiers are uncertain about the coming clash. Yet they still place their faith in their lord. Liam, however, grows bored fast as 3 days slide by without a single burst of action. He asks why they cannot just start blasting already, and the crew tells him the war already started, only it is playing out as a strategic phase for now. They explain that their fleet is already at a disadvantage because of the enemy's numbers, and Liam says he does not get how that is possible before the real fighting even begins. He points out that they cannot even see the enemy, and the ship's captain answers that in space, seeing the opponent's hull means you have already slipped into close combat range. Liam does not care to keep hearing the lecture. He wants fireworks, he wants the charge, and he says they should ram ahead immediately. Then the ship's radar throws a warning about hostiles approaching. The crew confirms in a hurry that 500 enemy ships have appeared above their formation, and Liam wonders why the pirates would send only 500 ships to strike them. The crew tells him the ships look like soldiers who once surrendered to the pirates, and to survive they had to join them. They are throwaway pawns sent forward to distract and force Liam's fleet to break formation. Liam gets pissed off at Goz for using the lowest ranks as fodder, and the moment they open fire on him, he answers back and blows those enemy ships out of the fight. That strike leaves a small gap in their formation, and Goz seizes the opening by ordering his fleet to drive straight in. In response, Liam's forces begin to pull back, and Goz reads that as fear. His ships keep pressing the chase, until the front line smashes into mines hidden by magic that detonate the instant they touch. The blasts cripple hulls, but Goz does not care because he commands too many bodies to count. Right then he orders the vanguard to sweep every last mine by slamming into them, and that order only pushes Liam's anger higher. After that, both sides start trading fire, and Goz's fleet brings out barrier ships to shield their advance. Liam's side begins taking hits, and the army officers order a barrier to be thrown up around the main ship as well. Liam asks what they are doing, and the officers say they are mirroring the enemy's tactic to keep him safe. Liam, however, is focused on their vanguard, the ones who will be outside the barrier and fully exposed to enemy guns. An officer tells him their priority is his survival and that they will spend any number of soldiers to achieve it. He argues that if they follow this plan and drag things out, the Imperial Army may send reinforcements in due time. Liam wants none of it. He declares that he is an evil lord who takes what he wants by force, and once something belongs to him, he never lets it slip away. He says the ships and the soldiers fighting at the front all belong to him, and he will not let anyone waste his property without his say-so. He orders that none of his people will throw away their lives to save him or to buy time, because that is not how he runs a war. He announces they will crush the pirates immediately, and that he himself will enter the battle and lead from the front. Liam orders Amagi to prepare his mecha armor, and when one of the military officers speaks up to object, Liam cuts him off, demotes him on the spot, and declares Amagi the new commander of the fleet. She immediately begins her calculations and lays out the sharpest plan to win, then issues the command for every ship to advance. The officers stare in confusion at the sudden order, but Liam tells them plainly to follow his maid robot since she is in charge now. And with that he turns to get suited up for battle. Back on the bridge, Amagi takes the wheel and orders every ship to push ahead at full speed and fly on her lead. The army officers grumble that letting a robot command a fleet is a mistake because she is taking their main ship straight to the front line. But Amagi tells them that once Liam steps onto the battlefield, they do not need to hold this vessel back anymore. She says they should use the flagship to shield Liam since it is their strongest hull. The top officials are struck by her judgment and loyalty. They endorse her calls, and as the formation surges forward, Liam is launched out into open space. He jumps with a short-range warp and drops right into the middle of the pirate formation, and Goz assumes Liam plans a suicide run to blow a ship for splash damage. He orders every gun to track and fire on whatever craft appears from the warp gate, only for the arrival to be Liam himself in a mecha knight. Liam slips through the incoming fire and starts tearing down pirate ships one after another, and right then, his own fleet reaches the battle area. They open up on the pirate line while rolling out all of their mecha knights, and Goz answers by dispatching his mecha knights in force. Even so, they still cannot match Liam, who cuts through their numbers, then calls up his plasma cannons and starts burning down pirate hulls. His relentless pressure cracks the pirate formation, and Amagi spots the lane she needs. Right then, she orders every ship to punch through the center of the enemy spread, while the mecha knights keep dueling across the void. Liam empties the plasma magazines, and a high-ranking pirate knight barrels in on his vector. Liam decides to enjoy this opponent who might actually push back. He meets the charge blade to blade, and he quickly realizes the man's technique is sharp. The pirate knight, equally surprised, says Liam's swordwork is refined and asks which school he trained under. Liam declares he studied the Way of the Flash, the finest sword style in the world. But the pirate knight says he has never heard that name in all his years as a seasoned swordsman. He calls the Way of the Flash a fake style, and Liam refuses to let that slide. He unleashes the ultimate technique and cuts the pirate knight down on the spot. A moment later, he regrets the clean kill, because if he keeps ending enemies in a single strike, there will be no one left to spread the tale of how brilliant the Way of the Flash is. As more pirate knights close in, they start mouthing off about how he is strong for a poor noble, and the jab about being broke ticks Liam off. So he unleashes his ultimate again and wipes them out in one surge. He keeps firing off the same finisher and dropping dozens of enemy knights at once, until his mecha frame pings a warning that his right arm has taken damage from overuse. Liam realizes the armor cannot keep pace with that technique, and more enemy knights arrive to pile on. They press him from every direction, his shields drop, and before long he is forced into a corner. His troops begin to get pushed back as well, and Amagi calculates their odds have fallen to 1%. Liam still fights with everything he has, yet it is not enough, and he finds himself a breath away from being swarmed. Right then, reinforcements cut in, the enemy knights behind him vanish under a single strike, and when the blast haze clears, he sees the rescued Princess Christiana in her mecha knight. Despite her rehab not being finished, she wants to repay what she owes Liam by stepping in, and her entire elite unit backs her play. Her squad reaches the field right after her. Christiana orders them to tear through the enemy line. They start smashing enemy knights and even punching holes in ships, and she shows that beneath the pretty face there is a ruthless thrill-seeker who genuinely enjoys crushing pirates. Liam is impressed by her form, but he also refuses to let anyone steal the spotlight. So he pulls out his rocket punch and instead of firing it, plugs it into his mecha and makes it his new arm. Once he has it under control, he spots a chunk of spaceship hull and uses his laser to carve it into a massive sword in an instant. With the stronger arm and the giant blade, he hurls a boosted version of his ultimate at the pirates, and the sweep erases their mecha knights along with full battleships. That single blow rips their formation apart and leaves the pirates shaking, and Amagi updates the forecast to 83% in their favor. She orders the fleet to concentrate fire on one flank, and in the same span, Liam drops the single-use mega arm, calls another sword to hand, and charges for Goz's flagship, set on capturing him and making his name echo across the galaxy. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed this recap, please hit the like button and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or tweaks, share them in the comments. They help me improve.